exam primarily covers the topics in and around the Azure OpenAI, and I hope all of you are familiar or at least heard about the term generative AI. So, generative AI is one of the new member in the AI ecosystem or AI family. But if you see, artificial intelligence is not a new technology or it's a new term for us because artificial intelligence, the word itself is coined around 50 plus years back. And after that, we have the machine learning, we have deep learning, and now we have the generative AI technologies or generative AI models. So in simply just giving you an update on what is machine learning and deep learning and generative AI difference. If you see, artificial intelligence is a broad ecosystem that all the other AI technologies, including machine learning, data science, deep learning, generative AI, all comes inside the artificial intelligence. But if you see what is behind artificial intelligence is simply the models, that is machine learning models or deep learning models. See, machine learning models simply used to create some predictions or make some predictions based on the data that we are providing, because inside it is just doing some kind of mathematical or statistical calculations, right? It's not very complicated thing. But when it comes to the deep learning, we use it for complex operations like speech synthesis, image analysis, or document intelligence, or the speech translation, video indexing. So there are different complex operations which cannot be done using a simple machine learning model, or simple statistical and mathematical calculations are not enough to do this operations, because if I have to identify the language in a text, or I have to do speech synthesis, or I have to uh, analyze an image, so simple numerical and mathematical calculations is not possible. So we have the neural networks, which is something similar to our human brain's neurons, which are interconnected to process the data that we are providing, and it is generating some kind of insights about the data that we have provided. So if you see, in machine learning, we are providing some input data. Based on that, it takes a decision, or it predicts something and give you the information. Simple mathematical calculations. In deep learning, we are providing the data and it is analyzing the data and giving you some output data. It may be converting from one format to another, or analyzing the data and giving you the insights about the data, or some other kind of output is produced. But yes, there are some inputs required. But now it comes to generative AI. In generative AI, we are not providing any kind of input data. We are just providing an input as an instruction, or we are providing some instructions to the model. And the model is responsible to create new data. It may be a image, or it may be an audio, it may be a text, or it may be some other kind of output. So as a user, you just need to give an instruction, and it is just providing you a new, fresh content in the form of text, audio, or image. So that is what is generative AI, and there are hundreds of generative AI models you can see nowadays, because all the organizations and communities now building generative AI models. But one of the most popular generative AI model or generative AI model development company is OpenAI. So OpenAI is an American research laboratory who build the generative AI models for various purposes, for text generation, image generation, speech generation, and many things. So Microsoft is funding for OpenAI, and these OpenAI services now available as a cloud service in Microsoft Azure Cloud. So if you are a Microsoft Azure user, you can enable the Azure OpenAI services inside your cloud, and you can leverage the benefits of cloud along with the generative AI features. So that means you will be using the same generative AI functionalities that is developed by OpenAI along with the features provided by Microsoft Azure. So what it means, yes, you will be able to go and deploy your generative AI models in a location which is very close to your customer. That means you can choose a location to deploy your OpenAI models. Along with that, you can configure the network security for this OpenAI models. Suppose if you want to allow the customers or allow the applications to access this OpenAI services within a private network, you can configure the private network access to the OpenAI models. Also, you can enable the monitoring, which is a default feature for Microsoft Azure services. Yes, you can enable monitoring for the OpenAI services, and the billing for the OpenAI services is coming along with the other Azure services. So if you are a Microsoft Azure user, you can still go and consume all the OpenAI services along with the features of cloud. But yes, I have to tell you one important thing. If you are an existing Microsoft user, you will not get the features of Azure OpenAI. For enabling this OpenAI services into your subscription, you have to uh, fill a special request form and send to Microsoft. So you can access this application form using this aka.ms/OAI apply form. So there you have to fill up the subscription details, your personal details, as well as the use case that you are going to use this open AI services. So this may take around 24 hours to 48 hours to enable this open AI services within your subscription. Once it is enabled, you can easily go and create the OpenAI service instance, just like any other uh, Microsoft Azure services, just like a VM, just like a storage, you can go and create the OpenAI services. Yes, you can go and create this OpenAI services using the Azure portal, or you can use the Azure CLI for that. So once you create the OpenAI services, you can go to the Azure OpenAI Studio to test and deploy this model. Suppose if you want to deploy selected OpenAI models, maybe a GPT 3.5 or GPT 4 model, or the DAL-E models or text embeddings model. So whatever OpenAI models you want to use, you can deploy with the help of OpenAI Studio. The Azure OpenAI Studio is a user interface, a web portal that helps you to create and deploy the OpenAI models, test the chat as well as completions endpoint. You can even test the image generation models, that is DAL-E, using the playground. So there is a playground section that allow you to test the deployed models such as GPT models or image generation model, that is DAL-E. So usually we use the OpenAI Studio to deploy the models which is available in that particular region. So why I'm saying it is particular region, because the availability of the models varies, depends on the location. Suppose if you see OpenAI is providing variety of generative AI models, including GPT 3.5, GPT 4, DAL-E, embeddings, Whisper, and many more. But the availability of these models varies depends on the region. Suppose the models which is available in East US may not be available in Central India, or the models which is available in Sweden Central may not be available in Southeast Asia. So before start deploying the applications or before start creating the resources, you have to first identify whether the model which you are looking for is available in that particular location. So you have to choose a location uh, appropriately based on your requirement, because if you are planning to use DAL-E, which is an image generation model, then you have to choose a location where the DAL-E is available. Why I'm saying DAL-E? Because DAL-E model is available only in few locations, but GPT kind of models, that is text generation models, are available in almost every region. So it is very, very important for us to understand the availability of models in various regions. And once you have created the OpenAI instance, you can go to the OpenAI Studio and start creating or start deploying the instances of these models. It is also possible to customize the models using a fine tuning or configuring the custom data using the RAG approach using this OpenAI Studio itself. You can even test your deployed models using this playground. The different types of generative AI models that you can use from the Azure is GPT-4. You can even deploy the latest GPT model, that is GPT 4.0, or sorry, GPT 4.0, and the most commonly used model, that is GPT 3.5. Or you can even use the vector embeddings model, that is used to convert your text into uh, embeddings, that is numeric representations. You can also deploy the image generation model DAL-E. DAL-E is available in two versions, that is DAL-E 2 and DAL-E 3. You can also deploy the um, uh, speech model, which is Whisper. So that is used to convert the speech into text. And we can also deploy the TTS model, which is text to speech model, in selected locations. So as a developer, we will be mostly interacting with the GPT models, because GPT models are mostly used for creating the text contents. But if you see, the difference between GPT 3.5 and GPT 4 is GPT 3.5 is a text only model, which means it accepts the user instruction, or you can call as prompt, as in the form of text, and the output, which is also called a completion, as text, which means it's a text input and text output model. But GPT-4 also supports multiple other formats. So it's called a multi-modal model because it supports image, audio, or text as an input. But the output of GPT-4 is always a text data. So according to your requirement, you will be able to go and deploy these models into this region. So I can show you an example. So here I'm logging into the portal. I have already created one OpenAI instance. If you want to create a new OpenAI instance, you can simply search for OpenAI, and you can see this is the OpenAI service which you can select and deploy. But I have already deployed this model, so I'm not going to create a new one. I can simply go to the resource group, select the already created OpenAI instance, So when you go inside the OpenAI instance, you can see a link to go to the OpenAI Studio. So what you can do, you just open this OpenAI Studio in a new tab, and you will be able to see the list of models and deployments inside this OpenAI Studio. So inside this OpenAI Studio, you can see primarily there are two sections, playground and management. So inside the management section, you can see the models which is available in this region. So you can see I have selected the Sweden Central, which you can see in the top right corner, because I have created my OpenAI in Sweden Central location. So in Sweden Central, I can see these many models available. You can see the legacy models as well as the new models are available in Sweden Central location. The Whisper, text to speech, embeddings model, GPT-4 models, GPT 3.5 models, then DAL-E, all models are available in this. Suppose if I have to start using this model, or if I have to go and use this model, I have to deploy an instance of this model. Suppose if I'm planning to use a GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K model, I can select it and deploy it. So this I can select and deploy. So from here, I can specify, I can select the model, or the already selected model will appear. You can give a name for the deployment. So for every deployment, there should be a name. It can be any friendly name that you can suggest, no issues. And this name will be used when you build the applications, because you will be sending requests to the OpenAI instances using this deployment names. So I have already deployed a couple of models here. You can see GPT 3.5 Turbo, DAL-E, GPT 35 Turbo, Instruct, GPT-4, text embeddings, and there are many models I have deployed for different use cases. So if I have to go and use this, I can go to the chat playground. Inside this chat playground, I can see there is a chat window which is open. Here in setup section, you can see a system message. So I'll tell you about the system message later, but here you can see the system message which tells the model or the assistant, the AI assistant is used to help the people for getting the information. So I can interact with this models using this chat playground. So in the right side, I can select the deployment which I have made. You can see there are different GPT models I have deployed. I can choose any one of this GPT model. So this is a GPT-4 model, GPT 3.5 Turbo Instruct model, and this is GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K model. So I can choose any one and make a request simply. So how far is moon? I can get a I can give a question, and you can see the model is answering for that question. So simple. And if you are planning to integrate this with the application, you can simply go to the view code, and you can see the sample code available for different languages, C Sharp, Java, or Go language, JavaScript. So how to use this model in different languages, that sample code is available. You can just copy this code as it is and use it. So that is the Open AI Studio. So now coming back to understand this Open AI models which is available. So we are focusing on the text generation models primarily. So these models provides primarily three endpoints. One is completion, another one is embeddings, and another one is chat completion. So the completion and the embeddings are older endpoints, which means they are available with the older models like a GPT-3 or older versions. But all the new models like a GPT 3.5 Turbo or GPT-4 kind of new models, they always support the chat completion endpoint. Endpoint is nothing but a URL. So you can make a request to that URL. So now the question, what is that URL? So this is what the URL. If you are planning to use the completions endpoint or completions endpoint, then you can use this URL. That means you can specify the endpoint of your OpenAI instance slash OpenAI slash deployments slash name of the deployment. So here you need to specify the name of the deployment slash completions, which means you are invoking a completions request. And your request body will be like this. It's a very simple prompt equal to what is the prompt you are providing, and it will uh, process that request. So you can see we are providing a prompt text as well as max token. So token means it's a unit of calculating the amount of data that we are sending to the large language model, or the large language model is responding to the user. So one token is typically 3 to 4 characters or a single word, you can say. Okay, usually, if it is a very large word, it will be divided into 2 or 3 tokens. Okay, so usually the words like the, hello, hi, how, what, all these you can consider as a single token. So 5 tokens means max tokens equal to 5, which means I want my response to be generated within that 5 tokens. So maximum 5 tokens I can use for generating my response. So I'm giving an instruction to the model saying, okay, you can use maximum 5 tokens. 5 means maybe 5 into 4, 20 characters or 25 characters maximum to generate the answer for this. So what is the answer I'm expecting? So you are giving a text like your favorite Shakespeare play is, then what is the answer for that? So here you can see the answer which is generated. Inside the choices list, we are getting answer text, text equal to Macbeth, right? But this is the completions endpoint, which is not used nowadays. And here is the embeddings endpoint. So embeddings is typically used for similarity search, because later when you use the RAG, that is retrieval augmented generation, which means you can use custom data, your own organization data with your large language models, because these large language models are pre-trained models. If you ask a question specific to your organization or specific to a person, the model may not be able to answer. Suppose if you ask the model, who is Sonu Sathyadas? It cannot answer because the model is not learned about that. But what I can do, I can provide the information about Sonu, and then I'll ask the model who is Sonu. Then based on the informations I have provided, the model is able to generate the answers. So that is called a RAG approach, or retrieval augmented generation. So how you are providing the data to the model? The model is not handling the text data directly for searching and finding the matching answers. So what it does, it uses a numeric representation of your text data. So here the embeddings model is typically used to convert your text data into this numeric representation. So which is very, very useful when implementing custom data with your models. So here you can see an example when you make a request to this embeddings and you provide a text like this, and the text will be converted into a numeric representation like this. And one of the most commonly used endpoint is chat completions endpoint. So which is now available with all the new models. So whether it is GPT 3.5 Turbo or GPT-4, you will be using this chat completions endpoint. So why it is called a chat completions? So if you see the completions endpoint, you are just providing a text. There is no formatting for that. But when it comes to chat completions, You can see you will be sending the request in the form of a chat conversation. Here you can see you are sending a list of messages. So this is one message and this is another message and this is another message. So you can see this is a conversation between an assistant and a user. So the first message is always a system message. That means the role equal to system. That means the uh, user is setting the behavior of the assistant. So what the assistant is supposed to do. So we are telling you are an assistant that teaches people about AI. So we are setting the behavior or nature of that assistant, saying that you are supposed to give answers about the AI. And then this is the first question made by the user. So when the user asks a question, what the user is asking, the user is giving a prompt. That is prompt content is, does Azure AI support multiple languages? And the assistant is providing an answer for that. What is the assistant's answer? Yes, Azure OpenAI support several languages. So we are providing this conversation as an example conversation. But the actual question is this one. So why we are including examples inside the prompt itself? Because we have to format the output. So the it helps the model to understand what is the format or what is the way I have to answer this. So by looking into this above examples, the model is able to understand, okay, I am supposed to answer in this format. Look at that. When the actual prompt is sent, this is the actual prompt sent by the user, that do other cognitive services support translation. So this is an actual prompt we are sending. So by looking into this previous conversation, this is the previous conversation. So by looking into this example, model is understanding, okay, I am supposed to answer this way. So you can see here, when the answer comes inside the message, the assistant is responding with a content like a yes. Azure Cognitive Services also support translation. You can see it is responding in the same way that is given in the example. All right. So you can see in when you make a request to the chat completions endpoint, we are sending the request in the form of chat conversations or chat messages. But to handle this request or to send and receive the request, you should understand some best practices in the prompt generation. Because if you are not providing a correct prompt, it cannot answer with the correct response. So for generating the correct prompt, you can use some techniques. So prompt engineering is best for increasing the relevancy and accuracy of the response. So if I'm simply asking the model, okay, can you generate a question? So yes, it generates a question, but regarding what? Regarding, sorry, including which of the topics? It cannot assume that. So we have to give a clear and specific instruction to the model that this is what you are supposed to do. This is how you have to generate the results. These are the things you have to include. So if you are giving such informations in the prompt, then your AI model will generate the answers very correctly. So that is called a prompt engineering techniques. So if you see some of the prompt engineering techniques, you can see, suppose if you are asking the model to create a product description. So we have a water bottle. Can you create a product description? Yes, model will do that. But model cannot understand the features of the water bottle you have created. So what it does, it is simply create a description using the general knowledge. So whatever it knows about the water bottle, it just create a description, but it may not be accurate or relevant. But if you see the right side one, which is giving a clear and specific instruction. So write a product description for new water bottle that is 100% recycled. Be sure to include that it comes in natural colors with no dyes, and each purchase removes 10 pounds of plastic from our oceans. That means this is giving a clear picture about the product. So what is the feature? What is this product? What are its features? All information goes to the model. So now the model is understanding, okay, this bottle has some special features. Let me include that informations inside the description. So now when you generate the description, it is including that features within this. That means this is more relevant than this one. So that is providing clear and specific instructions. Secondly, whenever we use the prompt, we have to understand some specific elements within the prompt. So usually when you provide the contents within this prompt means the input text, we can separate some elements using a section marker. So section marker is typically three hyphens or three lines we can use as a separator. So it is used to separate different elements of your prompt. So what are those different elements? It can be a primary content. That means what is the content that you have to process. So we are telling the model, okay, I am giving you a content. Now you have to translate this into a French. So you can understand that we are providing the content. So that content is the important content. We have to translate that content. So that is called the primary content. Or I am giving a large paragraph and then telling the model, can you summarize this paragraph? So then the model has to use that paragraph as the primary content. So that primary content is very important when doing some kind of operations. Along with that, we can also provide some supporting content. Supporting content means we are asking the model to perform something, and plus additionally some instructions we can specify. So I can give an instruction to the model. So I want to create uh, 10 questions on artificial intelligence, or I'm planning to create 10 MCQ questions on what's say .NET. So if I'm giving only this instruction, it will be able to generate the content, or it will be able to generate the output. That means 10 questions will be generated. But I can provide some additional supporting content like please include the question from this topic, specific topics like a database, from entity framework, from web development, or from C# basics. So I can clearly provide some additional informations. So without this information also, it is able to work. But I am providing some supporting information, supporting content, so that the model will generate accurate and relevant results. So supporting primary content is there, supporting content is there, and then grounding content is also there. So what is grounding content? So we, in the primary content, what we do, we provide a content and then we are telling the model, can you convert this text into another format, or can you summarize this particular text like this. So that means you have to process that data and generate the output. Supporting content, what we are giving an instruction for clarifying the information, we are providing some extra informations, that is supporting content. But without that also it will work. But grounding content is something different. We provide a context and then we will tell the model, yes, I have given you the set of information. Now I am asking the questions based on that. So you answer me only from that. Don't use your pre-trained memory. So usually whenever we ask the question, the model is generating the answers from pre-trained memory. But we are telling the model, no, do not use the pre-trained memory. I am giving you the grounding content and find the answers from that content. That is the grounding content. Cues are very, very important because whenever you want to build the conversations or whenever you want to generate some code, you can tell the model, okay, I want to create a output or I want to create a code like this. So you can just provide the starting point of that code. It will generate the remaining information. For example, I can show you. Suppose if you are a developer who wants to build a Python code. So I'll just go to a particular folder and I can say app.py. So it's a Python file I'm creating. Inside this Python file, see what I'm doing. If I'm typing def, which means it's a Python function, and I'm giving only the starting point of this function, like a binary search. And then whenever I put this bracket, you can see the artificial intelligence is understanding, okay, he is expecting the code for the binary search. So when I press the tab, it automatically generates the code for it. So look at that. I have not given any instruction. I have just given the starting point. So rest of the things it generates automatically. Similarly, any functions like sum function. So I'm generating the sum function and then it will go and generate. So we can see sum of an array of numbers. So I can provide the array of numbers and then it will generate. So it is completing the remaining portion of the code. So we are just providing the starting point. The rest of the things it complete. So that is called the queue. So for generating the program code, for generating the SQL queries and all, we can use this feature. System message, it's very, very important feature because system message I have showed you in the chat completions playground. So what is the benefit of using a system message is it will uh, change the behavior of the assistant. Suppose I can tell the assistant, can you speak like a Indian person, or can you speak like an American person, or can you act like a doctor, or can you behave like a teacher? Can you act like a computer? Can you behave like a robot? So you can set the behavior of the assistant. So how the assistant need to answer this question. So you can tell, okay, you are a virtual assistant who talks in a very funny mode. So whatever questions you ask, it will answer all the questions in a funny way. But if you are setting the behavior like you are an assistant who answer the questions in a professional way, so then it will be answering all the questions in a professional way. So that means you are setting the behavior of the assistant. So here you can see we are setting a system message. You can see the first message in every conversation can be a system message, and we are setting you are a casual helpful assistant. You will talk like a American old Western film character, which means it should answer all the questions like how the film character is answering. And whenever the user asks a question like can you direct me to the library? What happens when the assistant is giving the answer? This is just like a movie script, like how the American character is speaking. You can, well, howdy there, stranger, right? The library. Like, so you can see the accent is just like an American film character. So you can read this in that format. That means you are setting the behavior of your AI assistant using the system message. So what it has to do, what it should not do, what are the things it can speak, what are the things it cannot speak, all instructions you are giving to the assistant by using the system message. So system message is very, very important because that is deciding the character of a AI model. Conversation history and few shot learning. So whenever we interact with the AI models, including some examples is very, very important, because see here you can see we are giving a system message, means we are telling the model that you are an assistant that evaluate the sentiments of the customer feedback. So we are just telling the model you are supposed to analyze the feedback, analyze the sentiment of the feedback given by the customer. And if you simply give you this last one, like you can't miss this, or this is a bad thing, or this is not a good product, something like this, then the assistant may tell you as per the review which is received, I feel this is a negative feedback, right? This kind of descriptive answer it may give. But I don't need a descriptive answer. I just need a one word, positive or negative. That's it, right? So for that, we can include some examples. Look at that. This is the first example, conversation. So user is providing a feedback, and this is telling, okay, yes, it is a positive or negative. This is a second example we are including. The user is providing another feedback, and it is telling negative or positive. And this is the third example we are including, that we are providing one more example or one more feedback, and it is telling whether it is negative or feedback. So from the three conversations or from the three examples, model is understanding, yes, whenever he give a feedback, I have to just say positive or negative, no other things. You can see from the previous conversations, it is understanding I am supposed to answer positive or negative only. So why we are including this conversation history as an example for giving or for giving the model an idea about how to answer. So that is called a few shot learning, because we are giving one or more examples for learning this model, for the learning purpose of this model, right? So that is few shot learning, which can be configured using the examples. Okay, so conversation history. That means you can include the conversation history inside the prompt so that the model is able to understand how to answer it. Now coming to the next module, that is generating code. It is very, very helpful for developers. So if you are a developer, you can generate the code using the generative AI models. Means you can just provide the instruction through the comment, and the model is able to generate the complete code for you. Now there are different agent applications already available that comes with these features. Means they are using the generative AI models behind the scene to do that. For example, GitHub Copilot, or AWS Code Whisperer, or Tab 9. So these are the examples or tools that is using generative AI models to generate the code, optimize the code, and fix the code. So I can give you an example. So here in my editor, I am using the AWS Code Whisperer, that is Amazon Q. Look at that. Here, if I have to generate a code, I can just give a command like create a function to add two numbers. So you can see it is providing the suggestions and everything. So if I say tab, it is generating the code for me. Look at that. I don't need to go and write the complete code. I just need to provide that instruction in the command. So here I can also write the other one more example. I will tell you. Create a Python function. Yeah, so here it is giving some examples, but I don't want to do that. Function to accept an array as argument and sort it in a reverse, okay, descending order. You can see it's a function created and it simply return the reverse mode of that function, right? So you can see it is generating the code based on the comments. Suppose if you want to optimize this code, suppose this code, if I'm not able to understand what is there in the code, okay, because I may be not that expert in Python, so I don't know what this code is doing. Not a problem. I can tell the AI model to explain this code. So here Amazon Q is the AI assistant. I can tell the model to explain this code. So when I tell the model to explain this, you can see it is generating the explanation. So the provided code is doing what? It is step by step, it is explaining what is it. Okay. It is also possible that, okay, I want to identify whether there is any bug in this code. Suppose if there is some error, whenever I write some code, there is some error coming. I'm not able to fix this error. So I can simply right click and tell the AI assistant to fix this code. When I fix this, if there is no error, it will simply say there is no error. Otherwise, it will try to fix the error and give you that. Okay. Suppose if you want to optimize this code. For example, if you are downloading some code from internet and copy pasted, but this code is very complicated and including different steps. So what you want, you have to optimize this code by reducing the number of lines or steps. If you want to optimize, you can simply tell the model, okay, I want to optimize this code. See, the model is going to do that. Right. So it will give you a suggestion saying, okay, this is the optimized code. You can write this code in this way. Very simply, you can do this in way. Okay, just in one line. Instead of writing this 2 lines of code, you can simply do that in just one line. Okay. And it is also possible that you can go and generate the unit test for this one. So you can tell the model, okay, unit testing feature is not there. Okay. So I can tell the model to create a unit test. So if uh, it's not generating this code, usually it should give. I'm not sure this Amazon Q is not giving this feature. It should be there somewhere. No, it's not there. Okay, so that unit testing feature is not included here. But yes, using GitHub Copilot or the Tab9 kind of tools, it is possible to generate the unit testing code as well. So here, whatever I showed is a tool which is generating or which is using the uh, large language models behind the scene. Okay, we are not directly using this language models. We are using the Amazon Q, which makes a request to the large language models. So what are the things we can do for code generation and optimization? First of all, we can use natural language prompt to generate the code. So look at that. I have given a command to generate a function and it is simply creates a function. So by providing a simple text or natural language text, I'm able to generate the uh, code. And it is possible to convert the code from one language to another language. Suppose if you have a C# code, you can convert that into Python, or you have a Python code, you want to convert into JavaScript. You can do that using the uh, GPT models or the large language models, LLM. And it is also possible to understand the unknown code, means you can tell the model to explain the code. I have showed you an example how it is working. So you have a function which is copied from internet, but you don't know how it is working and what is it. So what you can do, you can pass the code to the model and ask to explain this. So it will be explaining that function. It is also possible to write unit test for this functions. So you can ask or you can tell the model to write unit test for the given function. So the function and the prompt you will be passing, or function and the instruction you are sending as a prompt. You can see this is the instruction, write 3 unit test for this function, and below you are providing the function. So what it does, it generates 3 unit tests for this function. So here you can see the examples which is generated. So this is the test function, and this is the first test, this is the second test, and this is the third test. Okay, so this is again a code generation only, but this time we are generating the unit testing code for the selected function or selected code. Fixing the bug in the code. It is possible to go and fix the bugs in the selected code. Suppose you are passing the code to the function and then asking, okay, as an instruction, you can say the function is not working for me, fix the bugs in this function, and you are passing this function. So it will be returning the function, and it will tell you what it has modified or what need to be corrected. Okay. Improve the performance, that is optimizing this code. Suppose you have a function which contains a lot of loops and functions and other things. Okay, loops and if conditions and other things. So you can tell the model, okay, can I make this code more efficient, or can I improve this code? Okay, or can you optimize this code, and then give the function. So it will optimize and return the code in a simple format. So that means the generative AI model is capable to generate and optimize the code for developers. In OpenAI, previously this is done by the Codex model. Codex is a previous model used for code generations and code handling, but now this is done by GPT-4 itself. Okay, so sorry, that is what we have done. So the using custom data. So this is what it is. Just update. Using custom data. So what is this using custom data? See, these generative AI models that we use today is all pre-trained models. Pre-trained models means they all works, or they all generates the results based on the knowledge it has acquired during the training. So every model is a pre-trained, right? Which means from internet, millions and billions of data is used to train these models. So whenever we consume these models or we use these models and then make a query to this model, the model is going to answer for the questions or answer for this user prompt based on the knowledge it has acquired from the internet. So the problem is, or the limitation is, its knowledge is very limited. Okay, that means it don't know anything about a specific person, a specific organization, specific department. Okay, for example, here I can go and ask a question about anything in internet. Okay, suppose if the model is trained 2 years back, so whatever information was available till that date, till that training date, the model is aware about it. For example, if the model's training data is till September 2021, then the model is able to answer anything about till September 2021 or September 2023 or whatever is the model version. So GPT models are trained with the latest data, but GPT 3.5 models are little older. GPT 4 models are having the latest data. So here I have a GPT 3.5 model and I am asking a question like which is the latest Angular version? I'm asking a question. See, according to the knowledge of this model, so that is as of October 2021, the latest stable version is Angular 12. Because now if you go and check, sorry, Angular, if you go to the Angular and you can see the latest Angular is 18. Angular 18 is now available. So which may be very recent one, but at least 6 months back, Angular 17 was released. So at least it should give a that update. But you can see it is giving or it is saying that as on this date, Angular 12 is the latest. But if I go and choose a different model, that is GPT-4, and then asking the same question, which is the latest Angular version. So which version or which is the training date, I'm not sure. So it depends on that. You can see as of my last update, the latest stable version is Angular 14. You can see this model is more aware about the latest version, but it is still Angular 14. Okay. So you can see the models are always answering from the pre-trained memory. So now if I'm asking a question like can you tell something about Sonu Sathyadas? So it will tell it cannot understand or okay, this is pricing tiers. This is exceeded. Okay, anyway, so you can see this. The model will go and say that it is not able to answer. Okay, so let me ask, but the quota is exceeded. See here, it is simply saying, I don't know who is this person, right? Or if I'm asking about a particular organization, so can you tell me something about XYZ organization? Or if I'm asking about a hospital, can you tell me which of the departments are available in that hospital? Or which is what is the doctor name in that department? So if I'm asking some information or asking some questions about that particular organization or department or a person, it cannot answer because it is not trained with some person or organization specific data. But we can use the large language models to generate the answers specific to a content. Like, okay, I can train the model or I can tell the model, okay, Mr. Sonu is this one, and I can give a complete history of mine, and I can tell the model, okay, now you can go and generate the answers based about Sonu. So now if I go and ask who is Sonu, it will fetch the informations what I have provided and then generate the answers based on that. So that approach is called a RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. So how to do that? So look at that. I can show you a simple example. So here, if I go here, this is an HP user manual. Okay, this is a HP laptops user manual. So here, this user manual is specific to a HP laptop. So here I can go and search for a content like so how to determine the BIOS version. So I want to get the answer for this one. So if I'm asking the large language model like how to determine the BIOS version. So if I ask this question, it will answer from it's a pre-trained memory, but it is not specific to HP laptop. It may be a generic answer. So you can see I'm just so you can see this is a generic answer. So in Windows OS you can do this, Mac OS you can do this. This is a generic answer. It's not specific to HP laptop. Okay. But what I want to do, I want to implement an AI assistant that answers questions from this document. So looking into this document, answer this question. So suppose if I'm asking how to determine the BIOS version, then it has to give this answer. But how I can do that? For that, I'm supposed to go and use a custom data option, which means I can go and add a data source, which the model will use as a grounding content. Okay, for example, I can add a data source, and from here I will select a blob storage because I already have this documents available in my storage account. So if you go here inside my storage account, here is my blob container docs. So here you can see I already have this HP user manual uploaded in the docs container. So I'll go here and select this storage account, and I'll say docs container. But problem is this is a PDF document. Our large language model cannot read the content from a PDF directly. Then how it will answer? For that, I can use an AI search service. The Azure AI search service is a data mining service which will extract the text content from the PDF and convert that into embeddings, which is readable to the large language model. So what I'll do, I'll create a search service. Very quickly, I can go and create that. I'll select here the OAI and here AI search and into the east US location, or maybe Sweden central location. And the pricing tier, I'm selecting a basic. So I'm creating a search service. So search service benefit is it will read the PDF document and convert that text content into a vector format, means vector embeddings format, so that whenever I make a request to the model will find the matching answers from the PDF and then generate the answers accordingly. So here you can see I have this search service created. Now I'll use this search service here. Look at that. This is my search service, and I'm going to use an index name because search index is required. It is storing the PDF contents inside the search index. So this I can say search index or HP search index I'm using. And here indexing schedule means how many times it has to go and read the content from this document folder. Only once. If I have to do repeatedly, Then I can schedule this for hourly or daily, but I don't want to do that. So this is going to do a keyword search. Next, API key-based authentication I'm enabling because our OpenAI service is authenticating with the search service using the key. So now you can see I'm configuring the custom data. The custom data is configured inside the playground. And what is the benefit of doing that? Now, whenever I make a question, model will be answering all the questions based on this data which is provided. It's not going to give a generic answer like previous. Let's see. You can see it is reading all the text content from that PDF. There is one file. You can see there is only one file. It's reading that. Okay. Indexing is happening, which means the extracted text content is now converting into vector embeddings format. Okay, you can see it is done. So this is the HP search index created. Now I'm going to ask the same question. See how to, what was the question? How to determine the BIOS version. BIOS version. If I'm asking this question, you can see it is generating this answer, but you can see the answer is generated from this PDF. You can see the reference document is PDF. This answer is generated based on this. So you can see, press the Windows key and type device manager. So here, is that this is not the same. What are the answers generated in device manager? This is the only action. Let's try a different question. So let me go and check this one. How to do backup, restore, and recovery. How to do backup, restore, and recovery for HP. So it's not going to copy paste that content as it is. It is generating the answers from this text. So don't expect the same text will come there. It will be generating the answers from there. Here also you can see it is generating the answer from that PDF. So here to create a recovery media and backup somewhere here, use HP recovery manager to create HP recovery media. Here you can create an HP recovery media for selected products only. This one. This is what it used for selected products only and recovering using the HP recovery manager. Right. So by using this information, it is summarized or it is generating that answer. This is what you can see. how to change the computer's boot order. Let's ask another question. How to change the computer's boot order. So this is going to generate the answer again based on this only. Start your computer and access BIOS setup utility. And that is what the this one. Press F9, F10, F2. Once the BIOS setup is gone, go to boot options. Okay, so this is what you get here. So when you provide the questions, these questions will be answered based on the indexed data. So this is your custom data which is configured. We can see there are different data sources supported. AI search is one of the data source, but it can be MongoDB, it can be Elasticsearch, or it can be some other kind of data source. So the concept behind this is you can bring your own data as a grounding content and generate the answers based on that. So now, if I am giving a paragraph about Sonu and then I am asking the question, who is Sonu? The model is able to answer, right? So that is using custom data with large language models. So that is what we have seen here. We have to set up the data source and we have to configure that in our studio, and in our open AI model we are using this as a grounding content. So this is what I have done. So in the assistant setup section, we are configuring the add your data source. So that's it in this webinar. So in this webinar, we have discussed the AI-050 certification modules, like what is OpenAI, how to integrate this OpenAI models and applications using the endpoints. Then we have discussed about the prompt engineering, and we have discussed about the the custom data, how to use the custom data within the large language models to generate domain-specific informations. Now, if you have any questions about this, please unmute yourself and ask, or you can put your questions in the chat window.
Yeah, so no, so one question regarding the model that you have just showcased. Okay, there was one question that you have typed, and the output, the response that the model gave was outdated of 2021. And then you
Yeah.
told that we have to train it. So how this training is done, like, and who does it? And like, do we need to, every time train it based on, the time, the new things coming, how that is done?
Yeah. So first, our requirement is what? Our requirement is to get the updated data or get some organization specific data, because our model is not aware about this. For example, if I am running an hospital, so I want my hospital, sorry, my chat assistant, which is there in my website, need to provide informations to my customers regarding my hospital. Suppose if they ask which of the departments are there in the hospital, or who is there, what is a doctor name, or when he is available. So these kind of organization specific informations is not known to the model by default. So our requirement as an application developer, we are building applications, AI applications for organizations or what for organizations or some kind of industries. So in that cases, we have to train the model regarding the data specific to that organization, right? Suppose I have to teach the model Okay, this is my hospital information. These are the departments available. These are the doctors. These are the appointment time, everything. So there are two ways to teach the model or updating the model. So because the model is not aware about this information, so to update this model, there are two ways. One, I can retrain the model. I can take the existing model. I can provide this information. I can do the training. So that approach is called a fine tuning. But the problem is fine tuning requires a lot of effort and time because training a model with new data takes maybe hours or days or months, depends on the amount of data and depends on the capacity of the uh, machine that you are using. So that's why we typically use GPU enabled machines for model development. Okay, for developing the model and training, we mostly use the GPU enabled because it require high compute for training this model most of the time. So if you ask, can I do this in my laptop? Yes, it is possible, but it will be very slow. So fine tuning's problem is every time we have to update this model whenever there is a data change happens because we are updating or we are creating a new version of the model by providing some new information, and model will remember this information in the memory. Suppose today I'm teaching the model something and creating a new version. Tomorrow something new incident happens, again I have to teach the model, I have to train the model. So that means every time I have to train the model with new data. But the benefit is the answer will be very quick because if you ask me something, if I know this, I will answer from my memory. It will be very fast. But if I don't know the answer, I will refer some book and then answer. Both way I can answer. I can refer some book and answer. So fine tuning's benefit is it will remember all the things in the memory. So whenever a question comes, it will immediately answer with no latency. But second approach is RAG, retrieval augmented generation, which is I have showed you. We are not updating the model. We are not changing anything in the model. Instead of that, we are telling the model, I have prepared the data in your understandable format and it is there in this data source. Whenever I ask a question, you go to that data source, search for the matching data, and then generate the answers based on that. So the benefit of this approach is I don't need to train the model. Within 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I am able to finish my work. You can see I'm able to update the model in just 2 minutes, right? I created a search index. I have just uploaded the PDF. The PDF is indexed and converted into vector. In 2 minutes, the work is done. And whenever I ask a question, it is always connecting to the database or search service and then finding the matching answers. Then based on that information, it is generating the response. So the problem is every time when it go and search the database for matching data, there is a latency. That is one problem. Second is when it find the matching documents, it may contain relevant and irrelevant answers. So after getting that answers, then it will be sent to the LLM to generate the answers or to generate the response. So whatever information, suppose I know whenever you ask me something, I know it is in the third chapter. So I will take the complete third chapter with me and then I will read out the complete thing. So that means I have to load the complete matching documents and then generate the data. So this will increase the prompt, sorry, increase the number of tokens used in the prompt. But if you use fine tuning, since it is already in the memory, there is no additional tokens required. Okay, so every approach has benefits and disadvantages. Fine tuning's benefit is slow and it requires retraining every time whenever you update the data. But RAG approach or retrieval augmented generation means there is no updation required to the model. You just update the data source, re-index the data source, and tell the model, okay, this is your data source. You just fetch the data from there. Okay, but the problem is it is little slow and the accuracy depends on the search service feature. Suppose if the search service is not able to find the matching records, it's called a similarity search. So if the vector storage, that is your MongoDB or AI search, if it is not able to find the matching records, accurately, then your answer will be wrong or improper answer. So, but this is very cheaper approach for providing domain specific or organization specific data.
Okay.
But
So no, one more thing. Like you told about the fine tuning training that we
mm,
need to provide, right? Suppose you gave a demo, you were just, commenting or the writing the question, like how to generate a code of binary search or like giving a starting point, right? And automatically it,
yeah,
like
that is the
prompted
cues.
queues, yeah. So this also has been trained earlier, like if
Yeah,
someone types.
yeah,
So
this
my,
GPT
yeah.
model, see, I have used the tool called the Amazon Q, which is a
Hmm.
free tool available from Amazon or AWS. You can even use GitHub Copilot because it's a paid service. I'm not using it. So both are doing the same thing. You can ask the model to, you can ask the agent or the tool to generate some code for you through the comments or something. So it will connect to the internet and then execute some prompt and then generate the answer. So whatever comment I have given, it will be sent to the LLM and it will be generating the answer. And this model, they will be using the GPT 4 or GPT 3.5 behind the scene. And this model is trained with the millions of data or millions of lines of code available in the internet, in the GitHub.
Okay. So
Okay.
suppose the training is given such for example XYZ. Okay. So training is given for an XYZ and I search for XY A, suppose. So is there any intelligence that it will use and give me the result based on the algorithms, or it will give, no results, or if it that doesn't
That,
matches with the
so what do you mean by XYZ? So is it the
suppose,
data?
yeah, data or anything. Suppose the training that was already given to the model was regarding XYZ, and I search for XY,
Hmm,
any data or something that was not trained to the model. Okay,
hmm,
there can be of many cases a user can search which was not trained, but similar to what was given the training to the model.
hmm.
So will it uses an intelligence or it will give no results for this?
That depends on the system message. So in system message, you can configure. Suppose if the matching document is found, you can give the complete answer or partial results to be given. So like in banking sectors, whenever we use generative AI, so we will say if the information is not accurate, do not provide inaccurate or partial information because with partial information, it cannot process that. So for that, we use something called the guardrails. Guardrails means you can validate the input prompt as well as the output response. So if the output from the model or from the yeah LLM is not satisfying or it is not relevant, you can take a call whether to provide that partial answer or to ignore completely and give a no results found. It depends how you configure your system message and the what are the guardrails you have configured. Guardrails is a third party framework. Third party means some programming frameworks available which you can include while developing the AI applications. So if inside your guardrail, if you have mentioned partial answers not allowed, then it will not give you any answer. Or inside the system message, you can give an instruction. If 100% matching answer is not found, don't respond or simply say not found. So that instruction you have to give to the model. Otherwise, model always give an answer. If you don't give any specific instructions, model always gives the answer, whether it is partial or accurate or inaccurate. But we don't want inaccurate results, right? Relevant results. So that's why we use guardrails or system messages to control that. We will tell the model, okay, you have to produce only relevant results.
Okay. And Sonu, I have like seen this GitHub Copilot. It also, it is also the same one and the same thing that the demo that you have given. So any
Yes.
differences we have, or like,
See, GitHub Copilot is a enterprise application, which is you can say it is developed by Microsoft with millions of code they have used to train that. Means after the model is using GPT-4, I think, but they have customized, retrained, fine-tuned this model with millions and millions of data, different use cases. They have customized, and there are different features also included. But the tool which I am using is an Amazon Q, which is a free version or free tier. But if you see here, this the one which I have, which I'm using, there is a pro tier is also available. But I have to go and buy this one. So I'm using the free tier one. So which is giving limited features. You can see the unit test development is not available, but it is available in the pro version, and it is available in GitHub Copilot. So the Amazon Q is providing a free tier and also a pro tier. So if you need a tier, you will get the complete features, but you have to pay. But free tier means it is providing normal code generation and IntelliSense and other things. But GitHub Copilot, there is no free tier option. Only paid version is available. That's the difference. Otherwise, Amazon Q, or even if you go for Tab9 is also another product which is giving the same tab. Sorry. This is also providing the same. So this is also the code generation tool, but this is also providing a free and a paid version. Some limited features are available. Yeah, here you can see Tab9 Pro, full functional. So free is available for 90 days, I think. So like this, Amazon Q is free for every time, but it's only limited features. If you upgrade it to Pro version, it's similar to GitHub Copilot.
Okay, thank you.
So,
But
so how to apply for
yeah.
like how to get the certification voucher and get the certification for this?
So yeah, that you can check with the coordinator. I think Liaquat or some they will be able to update you if there is anything provided. So for this certification, if you want to take a personal certification, you can go to the Microsoft documentation and register for an exam. Uh, for one exam, I think this is $100 you have to pay. So, but if you are looking for any discounts, then you have to approach through some training partner, or the if your organization is a Microsoft client, you may be getting some discounts on the vouchers, or maybe free vouchers also you will get. But otherwise, if you are taking the exam on your own personal, then you have to pay $100. I think that is the cost per exam. Usually 7,800 or 8,000 something will come as the exam charge.
Okay. And one more question, like instead of using search service, can we use NLP uh, for like processing the PDF file and then providing it to the
Yeah,
GPT
so
models?
yes, yes. So you can use LangChain. LangChain is one of the top framework, community-driven framework, which is Python-based. You can write a manual code to read the data from PDF, or read the data from database, or read the data from web URLs, and convert that into vector embeddings and store into whatever data source you prefer. If you want, you can store in MongoDB, or you can store in FIAS, that is Facebook Artificial Intelligence Similarity Search, or Milvus, Pinecone. There are different vector storages available, and you can use this vector storage as a data source for your LLM, that is GPT model. So as a Microsoft product, through OpenAI Studio, they are providing a support for Microsoft product by default. But yes, if you go there, there is an option for the what to say, MongoDB also. But that you have to explicitly go and create that search index. Okay, so I'll show you. See, this is what we have seen here. If I go and update, here you can see Elasticsearch is supported. Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB vCore. This is MongoDB vCore cluster is required. So if I'm selecting this, there is no AI search required. So it is asking for a MongoDB database and a index, which means you have to have a index ready. Means all the vector embedding, the text data needs to be converted into vector embeddings, and that need to be there inside the MongoDB database. So if your database is ready, you can simply connect here. But this is only for Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB vCore. If your MongoDB cluster is in a outside the Azure, then you cannot use it. Then you have to manually code it, because here it is supporting only for the Azure. Suppose if your MongoDB cluster is outside the Azure, then you can connect it through the connections string. So once you go into the view code option, here you will see the sample code for connecting to data source. Here it is connecting to Azure Search. Similarly, MongoDB will be coming, and you can specify the connection string. So connection string, you can specify the third-party Mongo server connection string. Are you getting? So it is possible, but as a Microsoft tool, this is providing the options for Microsoft services.
Okay, okay. Thanks.
If you want to see an example application, here this is a LangChain application which I have developed, where you can see the, here I'm using the vector database. So here you can see this is manually configuring the vector embeddings. The index name, index key, text key, everything is configured, and vector store is passed to the RAG chain. RAG is retrieval augmented generation chain. So here this is I'm using my vector store as the data source and passing the vector store to the prompt and passing to the LLM. So the LLM is going to generate the response and provide the output. So this is a LangChain example. So here I'm using this LangChain for generating or creating this application. So this way you can customize, but as part of the AI-050, you just need to understand how it need to be configured with the AI search or Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Sonu.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's 5:40 now. So any more questions?
Sonu, I have one more question.
Yep.
Sonu, let's say, generally what happens is data generally resides in a database, right? So is it possible to use that ChatGPT AI model to give an answer of any query which is based on the table data?
So is it a SQL means a relational database?
Means yes, correct, correct. Because generally, what happens, data is generated and stored somewhere in the database, right? So let's say, for example, let's say Synapse, right? We have a Synapse data, and we have a relationship among the tables as well. I mean, you can say the model we have. So is it possible to configure that particular model with the with
Yes,
that?
but so for
Hmm.
some data storages, it's not directly possible. But if you use the frameworks like LangChain, there are some agents available. So here you can see there is some. This is an example of SQL database. Okay, our
Yeah, but
data is
you
here.
showed in the database list, a data source list, there was a that storage,
There,
Azure storage was also available, right? The
uh, but
blob.
but but it is only for the file. But in behind the scene, it uses the AI search for extracting the
Okay.
data from that. So if you want to use direct SQL database, then you have
Mm-hmm.
to use this SQL agent. So can you see here we are creating an SQL agent, and
Mm-hmm.
whenever the user provide a query like this, can you
Mm-hmm.
list the total sales per country?
Mm-hmm.
Which countries customer spend the most? This is an example prompt the user is providing, and
Mm-hmm.
this will be handled by this agent. So the agent will behind the scene will write the equivalent SQL query, and
Okay.
you will be providing your database connectivity here. So inside the database, it will connect to the appropriate tables and fetch the data. So
So what will
that
be? Yes, yeah. Please go ahead,
so
please.
this is the LangChain's SQL agent. So similarly, there are different agents. CSV agent is there, which if you are providing your data as CSV data, then it use what pandas to read that data and provide the answers based on that. I think it should be here CSV. Can you see here? We can provide the CSV agent
Mm.
and we can provide the queries. So how many people have more than three siblings? This kind of questions you can provide, and it will go and do a search and give the answer.
The
Can you see?
answer will be the text answer or
Yes, yes,
okay,
obviously.
okay.
Because I told you the GPT will be generating
Mm.
all text answers only. But you can
Mm.
tell the model, okay, can you generate the answer in the table format? Then it will provide the answer in the markdown table format. Or you can tell,
Okay.
okay, can you generate the answer in the
H
HTML format? So
HTML.
because only
Mm.
text output will be possible.
Okay, so if underlying, I mean, it is capable of doing underlying aggregations and
Yes, but
other.
it depends on what, yeah, it depends on what agent you use. Because here, if you see, it will be behind the scene, it is using the pandas. Can you see? Panda
Mhm.
data frame and also because here it uses the CSV agent. So that you have to
Mm.
explore this. I have not explored all these things. Here you can see the
Mm.
different type of agents we can use.
Mm.
Okay,
Okay.
so this
Can you
it
please
depends
paste
on.
this link
Sorry?
to the chat just for the
Yeah,
reference?
yeah, sure. You want the SQL one also? This is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same.
please. Yeah. So even in that case, also token generation or that will happen, right?
Yeah, yeah. So token means whenever you make a request, how many words are there in the request? And how many words are there in the response. Accordingly, the token will be calculated. So even if you give a small prompt, like tell me how many people are there living in this country. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so then it goes to your database and find the matching records and
Mm.
then include that information along with the query that you have given and then send it to the LLM. So your prompt is only 3 4 words, but don't think
Mm.
that only 3 4 tokens will be used because it will go to the database and do a matching similarity search and find the matching record. Maybe there are 10 records identified, matching records identified. So what is the size of the 10 records? That is also part of the token count.
Okay, so will it consider the relation among the tables as well?
That
Or
you have to explore because I have
mm.
not
Okay,
explored
okay.
that
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can try.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So why I have asked this question is just because, we have a large model, right?
Mhm.
Uh, created
So that that
for a
that
client.
you
Yeah.
have to try with the SQL agent because SQL agent's capability uh, will be giving that answer because I have not explored, so I cannot
Mm-hmm.
tell
Yeah,
you
yeah.
whether it will handle the relationships correctly
Right,
or
right.
not.
Okay, okay. No sure. Yeah. Thank you, Sonu. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so fine. I think it's time to wind up the session. So thanks everyone for being in the session actively. And thanks, Liaquat and Dinesh. So,
Yeah, thank you, Sonu. Thank you, team,
Yeah,
for joining.
thank you so much, Sonu. Thanks for your time. And thank you so much, gentlemen. You take out the time. I'm sure there are a lot of, takeaways, and the session will really help you in order to really understand the artificial intelligence in Microsoft AI era. I mean, though it is a kind of foundation level, But if you want to deep dive, please reach out to either Liaquat or me at any given point in time. We will be happy to support you. If you have any certain questions, please feel free to write an email to us. We will be happy to really, answer your questions.